Pat, a 1-1 draw here in Evesham. How would you reflect on today's game?
If you want me to be honest, I think it was the worst game of football I've seen definitely this season. I think the pitch was probably the worst pitch we've played on. I think since we've been at step 3, I think it's the worst pitch we've played on, which played a major factor in the quality of the game. Both teams had to play on it, obviously, but I think when you mix in the pitch and, again, seems like every week at the moment, the wind didn't make for a great spectacle. We're against the wind first half, which naturally means you end up defending close to your goal a lot. Obviously changed second half, thought we were a lot more dominant. It's one of those really where I think we've had a goal not given by the linesman in the last minute for a handball, which, just seeing the footage, I don't think is a handball. It's certainly not obvious enough for a linesman to give it. So I think, whether we deserve to win it or not, we should have won it at the end. We've scored what seems to be a legitimate goal. I can't really fault in terms of the lads' efforts today. I just think that it was such tough conditions. It's very difficult to play on. I think it's probably not appreciated outside of the pitch if you're watching to quite understand how hard it was to play on that pitch today, and with and against the wind, it was really difficult. Massively disappointed that we haven't won the game, especially, like I said, when we've done enough to win it in the end there. But if you're not going to win, then at least we get a point. But it's too many draws recently. I think we've got to put to bed the game against Bracknell, and then this isn't such a bad point. But
I mean, that disallowed goal at the end was probably the main talking point of today's game. Would you say it was a 0.1 or 2 points drop?
No, it's definitely two dropped. I do think, I agree with Pat, that's the hardest conditions you can play in, because I think I'm looking at it now and the pitch looks really green, but it's, you walk on there and we've got some of the best ball players around, I think, and they're taking 5 touches to control the ball, and it's the same for both teams, which I get, but at the same time it's a real leveller in terms of what the game can be. It has to become a long ball game, because if you try and pass the ball out from the back, you're going to lose the game. It's a certainty you'll lose if you try and play the ball out from the back, which obviously is something we would normally look to try and do. Think, you mentioned the disallowed goal at the end. We've seen a video of it. I don't know, it's difficult because when you lose, when you draw or you get a poor result and then the managers come out and they start talking about one decision, it just seems like excuses. So we want to try to not use that as an excuse, but then at the same time it's very hard to not question how the linesman has seen something like that from that far away when the referee himself, who's 5 yards away, hasn't given it. I thought, if I'm being honest, speaking more generally, I thought the referee got bullied by their goalkeeper today. I thought, and fair play to him, he just did what he wanted. He took as much time as he wanted, and the ref allowed him to, and then added on 4 minutes in a game that should have had 8 minutes plus added on, and that's credit to them. They were allowed to do it and they took advantage of that. But I'm just saying excuses now. We need to win the game. We had enough opportunities, not amazing ones, but we had enough opportunities with the quality that we've got at times to go and win the game. We've obviously had what is, by the looks of things, a fair goal ruled out at the end. And I fully agree with Pat. It's one of them. If you win last week against Bracknell in a game where we've dominated the second half, this is a good point. Genuinely is a good point, because that was awful conditions. But it's not a good point because we didn't win last week.
Today was arguably the longest away day throughout the season, and I mean the conditions today were really tough. We managed to take two coaches of fans here today to support. I mean, that is fantastic at this level, isn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic that they were here. They've obviously made a trip, and there was a little bit of disappointment in the first half, which they are, within their right to be disappointed, because we've not won in a few games, and we were obviously 1-0 down. But I think it was important to have a bit of perspective that the wind was so strong in that first half. You could see that Parksy couldn't even kick the ball. It was just coming back. And I felt like there was a question of the lads, potentially the lads desire or wanting to do well, which I thought was a little bit unfair, if I'm honest. Our fans have been excellent all season. They support home and away. There's such a big following today. But I felt, if I'm honest, it was a little bit unjust, some of the things I was hearing. But, you know, they're well within their rights to do that, and they do make a difference second half when they're loud and you can hear them, and they're really helping us. I think that's a big reason why we get a goal back and we're dominant. But yeah, no, fair play to them. They've come here on Good Friday. It's a 2.5 hour trip, and yeah, I think we've got to try and give them a little bit more, to be honest.
With only 4 games left to go in the season, is it a case of just getting over the line, or do you want to really see us push on towards the end of the campaign?
Yeah, we're like ambling towards the line a little bit at the moment. We're obviously, you know, we've been saying for a long time, like, you get people who say to us, good luck in the playoffs and things like that, and we say to everyone, like, we've nowhere near secured a place in the playoffs, and we've been saying that for weeks. Like, you know, the last 3-4 games, Bracknell game aside, we've had some of the toughest away days within perspective of, you know, Gosport being a top team in this league with a real strong side, and Yate away in those conditions, which, you know, were horrendous, and obviously today likewise. Like, a bit of context and a bit of perspective, it's been a real tough, tricky last probably 3 or 4 weeks, and it's difficult because, like, there's a part of me that thinks, had we been 7th or 8th for the whole season and we were now starting to push for a playoff place, there'd be like a real excitement and buzz everywhere, and it would be really exciting as to what this group could achieve. But maybe because we've not left the top 4, possibly the top 5, I don't know, pretty much all season, it almost becomes, taken for granted is the wrong way of phrasing it, but I think you know what I mean, it almost becomes a staple just to see us in the top 5 every week. And I think, you know, we need, in this moment where we haven't been at our best, I do think we've been unfortunate recently in some ways, but I think just a bit of perspective. And look, we're in the playoffs at the moment. We've got I don't know whether it's a 3, 4, 5 point gap, I don't know, and that's a massive achievement from a group that was, well, literally this weekend last season going down basically, and the group have really turned things around. And I think as we move into these last 4 games, some really, really tough fixtures in those 4 games, we just need as much support as we can possibly get. We need to get things right in terms of our approach. We need the lads to really step up. I think you see that at times today. I look at Shaq again today, I just thought he was brilliant. Big players stepping up in big moments. And I think we need to go and attack these last 4 games, get ourselves over the line. Like you said, if we can really get over the line by getting some statement wins and really picking up some form, that's great. But either way, appreciate where we're at, make sure we can do everything to finish in a playoff place, and then after that, you know, we'd see what happens. But we're by no means secure. The lads know that, and we need to go and deliver now.